In the world of business, sending a digital invoice should be as secure and reliable as sending a registered letter. I mean, it just makes sense, right? But how do you actually guarantee that? Today, we're breaking down the tool that makes it possible, the SAP AS4 adapter.
So here's our game plan for today. We'll kick things off with the big challenge in B2B messaging. Then, we'll get into what the AS4 adapter actually is. We're going to clear up the super confusing sender versus receiver roles, explore the different ways messages get exchanged, simplify the whole configuration thing, and finally, really dig into why this is such a game changer for businesses.
Okay, think about it. Every single day, businesses are zapping millions of critical documents back and forth, purchase orders, invoices, you name it. But sending them is a really high-stakes game. How do you make sure that sensitive data is safe from prying eyes, that it arrives without a single character being altered, and that it actually lands with the correct partner, not a competitor? You know, SAP's own documentation really hits the nail on the head here. When you connect with an external partner, you're basically opening a door in your digital wall. And you have to be absolutely 100% sure that door is locked tight and that every single message passing through it follows your company's policies to the letter.
So how do we build that secure door? Well, the answer actually starts with a really powerful industry standard.
At the very heart of all this is the AS4 protocol. And honestly, the best way to think of it is like digital registered mail for businesses. It's built from the ground up to be secure and reliable. It's also something called payload agnostic, which is just a fancy way of saying it doesn't care what kind of file you're sending. It could be an invoice, a shipping notice, a contract. It can handle the whole shebang.
So, if the AS4 protocol is the standardized destination, then the AS4 adapter is the custom-built bridge that SAP provides. It's the specific tool that connects your internal systems to the secure global messaging network. Simple as that. Okay, now we get to one of the most confusing parts for anyone new to this: how SAP names its adapters. It seems totally backward at first, but I promise you, once you get this one concept, building your integration flows becomes so much easier.
Here's the key takeaway, and trust me, it's worth repeating. In the AS4 world, the sender adapter receives and the receiver adapter sends. I know, right? It sounds crazy, but here's why. It's all from the perspective of the central integration flow. The flow sends a message to the receiver adapter, which then sends it out. And the flow receives a message from the sender adapter, which just got it from your partner. Just burn that into your brain. It will save you so many headaches.
All right, so now that we know who's sending and who's receiving, even if it's weird, let's look at how they communicate. There are two basic patterns for exchanging messages, and the one you pick has a pretty big impact on your whole setup.
First up, we've got the push pattern, and it's exactly what it sounds like. The sending system, which we call the initiator, actively pushes the message out to its partner. You can think of it as a direct delivery. It's simple and it's immediate. Now, the pull pattern completely flips the script. Instead of the sender pushing the message out, it's the receiver that starts the conversation. It sends out a pull request, which basically asks the sender, "Hey, you've got anything for me?" And only after that request does the sender actually deliver the message. So this really gives you a clear strategic choice. You'd use push for urgent, real-time updates, and you'd use pull when your partner system might be offline or stuck behind a heavy firewall, which lets them decide when to grab their messages. The most important thing to remember here is who kicks off the conversation: the sender in a push and the receiver in a pull. I know those configuration screens in SAP can look super intimidating with what feels like a million different parameters, but you can totally master them by just focusing on a few high-level concepts instead. Just think of configuration as these 4 logical steps. First, you define the where. That's the partner's URL. Second, the who, identifying your system and their system. Third, the how secure, setting up all the digital signatures and encryption. And finally, the what's next, figuring out what kind of confirmation you need to get back. A really critical choice you'll have to make is the quality of service. Just think of it like choosing your shipping method. Best effort is like standard mail. You send it and, hope for the best. At least once is more like certified mail. It guarantees delivery, but you might get a couple of confirmation slips by mistake. Exactly once, that's the gold standard. It's like a secure courier. It guarantees the message arrives one time and one time only, which is absolutely essential for preventing things like duplicate orders or payments. So, after all these technical details, why does any of this really matter? Well, it's because mastering this configuration directly solves those big, high-stakes security and reliability challenges we talked about right at the start. So what do you get at the end of the day? You get robust security, knowing your data is encrypted. You get rock-solid reliability, so messages never just vanish into thin air. You get something called non-repudiation, which is a critical legal proof that your partner can't deny receiving the exact document you sent. And best of all, since it's an industry standard, you can connect seamlessly with any partner, anywhere in the world, who also uses AS4.
And this brings us to a final thought. What new possibilities open up when you can trust your digital communication as much as you trust registered mail? When every single transaction is secure, reliable, and legally verifiable, it fundamentally changes how you can collaborate with your entire business.